podcast. I'm your host, Rod Anelia, and today I have a very special guest, Alana Starr Shamel. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, a writer, a researcher, and a mystic soul servicer, which I love that. Today we're going to be continuing our show, Deprogrammed, and in this discussion, we're going to talk all about the mother wound, specifically how it affects men in their relationships. So welcome, Alana.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be back on. I love this, having discussions that are deep and meaningful. So hello.
Hello. We talked a little bit earlier, about this and, what it truly means for men when they carry the mother wound and how we can have compassion, as the wound is collectively, I think, it's starting to surface so that we can see it. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I've been seeing it for a long time. I've seen it in myself. Mm-hmm. I often, used to think that it was just something that happened on a smaller scale inside individual homes. But the more we learn that it's a wound collectively for men and women. But when the women are lacking the connection of the Divine Mother and the Cosmic Mother and our womb is distorted, then we're definitely going to project on the men, and we're definitely going to see it more so with mothers and children or their sons. So, and as they grow up, they start having this, and it's not just the mother, it's not just that, but it's what the industry and what entertainment industry and what all these different agendas and programs are doing to distort the men's view of women. So, and it goes back to, we call it mother wars because mother, ma'at, mother, mater, the one who births, whether it's, whether she births now or later in the future, that womb is still there. And so it's that connection with the womb that is in need of attention and care.
So true. So beautiful. In my healing practice, like sometimes the work I do will be going back to the time when the adult now was in the womb of the mother. If a mother has trauma or in any way, shape, or form, or is very upset, or maybe she's having discordance, or maybe she's doing this all alone and fighting to have this baby, the fetus gets all of that information. It can feel the pain of the mother, and so it's interesting how, like, when we shift that energy and clear that out, so much opens up. But it's never like the mother's fault because she's going through this. Like, women go through so much. It's such a huge endeavor to have a baby grow in your womb and to carry that child and to deal with life. And some women have like a 9-to-5 and maybe they don't have that support. You know what I mean?
Yes, because the agenda in ages ago, when it really started distorting the patterns of what we call the gender wars between the male and female, these wars that set in were raging so strongly that it broke up a lot of homes. There wasn't a sense of, like, I mean, there's some good homes, there's some people that have it together, but for the most part, there's a lot of distortions between the man and the woman, and I think that's really purposeful. It's definitely now more noticeable and purposeful when you watch movies, and there's so many that are out to really destroy how men view women and how women view men, and it goes, I like how you mentioned the womb, what happens when you're in the womb, and the mother does take on things, and it goes back to our first session we had discussing deprogramming and trauma-based mind control, because one of the ways to create a trauma-based victim is to either separate them from a significant parent at a young age. It's also to mess with the mom so much that she births a child that's in trauma already, because they're more easily controlled. It also is to I can't remember the other one, but there's so many different things that they do to create a mind control victim. And sometimes they will purposely delay the have the baby come early or super delayed. Those things cause distress, and that creates more of a separation in the personality of the child before it's even born. It's really interesting, but it does go back to the collective cosmic mother wound, because we haven't really discussed fully in any of the religious schools or anything. As I was growing up, I never learned about the mother. Where was the mother in all of this?
Yeah.
And I mean, my mother, I had a big healing to go through within the structure of my understanding of mother. And it does go back to Mother Earth and the destruction that's been caused to her, and I feel like the purposeful miscommunication and covering up of our Divine Mother. And she speaks through me a lot, and through a lot of other women that I know, including you. And so she's definitely asking for attention.
Yeah, there's a need for this deep healing, but like you said, it's a collective healing, and it has like the trickle effect where when a mother is wounded or when she's not, a lot of women haven't gotten what they needed, because when you distort the masculine, when you distort the feminine and they come together, it becomes a distorted relationship, and then they create babies, and that baby turns into a child, that child turns into an adult who feels distorted too. And perhaps I've come across a lot of men in my practice that are very angry at their mothers, and they have resentments. But the interesting part is, like, it was such a hidden belief system that we had to do like a lot of digging, because it was like going in circles. Like it showed up in not having the relationships they wanted, or it showed up as distorted energy towards the feminine in general, prejudice towards women in some way, shape, or form. Of course, these are all very unconscious, but there's an interesting thing, like when a man feels like he didn't get the love he needed from his mom, perhaps sometimes I've seen like mothers who marry their sons. And what that means, it doesn't have to be like a marriage or a sexual relationship, but when she's not getting the emotional support from the primary masculine, the father, then she will have to turn to her son and seek emotional connection with him. So she bonds with him emotionally and maybe cries to him, or he's like the shoulder she leans on, but then he grows up resenting the feminine as that? Like a burden.
Like the opposite of that too is like when the mom gives a lot of too much love, and it's like over bonding, and they do everything for them, and sometimes it's too much, and when they finally get in a relationship with a woman who's wounded, they don't know how to help her, and they don't know how to understand, because the mom did everything for them, and they don't know, they look at everything as like kind of like a nagging kind of thing, because it's like they're thinking of that nurturing nagging instead of the love that a woman can teach you, the wisdom that she can share with you, because women have wisdom, men have wisdom too, but it's a different type of wisdom. And I think that because they think they got it from their mom, that the woman they're with has nothing to teach them. And sometimes it takes a while for the woman to really know how to teach the man, because they're not taught to transmute what they're supposed to from a man, because the woman's body is like that temple, you know. As a man's I want to make sure that I'm being clear that I'm not saying that men are any less important. Actually, I'm saying the opposite of that, that we both have divine purposes. And when there is gender wars, and when there's agendas to eliminate women, or to distort the men's perception of women and their ability to heal the man or heal the world, there's so much distortion being taught throughout the music and entertainment industry, whether it be just for the sake of entertainment or for more concerning reasons. I'm here to share, the insight of the possible agendas that ruin sacred relationships, that could otherwise be healing for the world.
It's really time where we really start to face these wounds, because at the end of the day, it's just wasting so much time and energy spinning our wheels, and I think people, they want good, healthy relationships. They want to be happy, right? And so it's very hard when you're running on unconscious programs and you don't even know. I think so many people don't even know like what their unconscious is acting out. And I think that's why people are sometimes not conscious when they're in a relationship. It's all unconscious patterns And a
Yeah.
lot of the time it's the feminine who may be angry at her father, and the masculine who may be angry at his mother, or something of that nature. There's many variables, but like playing out this this scenario in which they're just acting it all out. They're acting out the wounds because there's an unconscious energy. Because when you go into any relationship, it's going to mirror, it's going to bring up all of your stuff, and we go to the places where we're wounded right away, or we get triggered right away. So it's such an interesting thing.
Yes. There's a reason deeper that goes back to those gender wars. And when I say gender wars, I'm coming at it with compassion, not with an angry tone of like, these wars are going on. No, I'm so past that understanding to this deeper compassion that is in my soul, that is, it feels so deeply for the wounds that are here. And it goes back to the covering up of the Great Mother and the cosmic wound, and I would say the blasphemy against it, because it is the Holy Spirit. It is that energy of that's been, I almost feel like the mother may have did it to us on purpose for us to really learn something here, because she's here. She's here with us. She's always here. And so is the Father. The energy of our divine heavenly parents, of our creators, is always here. But it's like they see everything, and they're watching what's going on. And I wonder to myself, like, is this really just a test for us to truly finally come to the understanding of our divine unions, of our divinity? And I'm just looking back in all my research, and it's coming to this pivotal point of literally like waking up in our dream here. And
that's such a great phase.
And fully seeing that. And yeah, it's pretty deep,
It's so multi-layered because it's so true. The feminine has been totally eliminated in throughout history, and especially through religious texts. She has been eliminated. But ironically, you go back and look, and a lot of the temples that were the feminine priestess temples, where they were the keepers and the holders of this of this text knowledge and information. And I've had past life regressions where I've been there and I've been run out of the temples. These temples have been literally, crushed. Like, they tore them down. Then they would literally build a church on top of it. And she's really been cut out of the equation. And there's many reasons, because when you cut the feminine energy, the divine mother energy, off from the system, what happens is there becomes a leak. There's a leak in energy, and it really, you start to lose your course, your way. Without the divine mother, you can't, your navigation is set off. And you can see that like in a lot of the things that we have in this modern time, like they're really pushing the agenda of like robotics and pushing us to get intimate with robots, to get with a program, right? But it has nothing to do with the divinity of the true mother. The true mother, if we had that essence, we're sort of, it's like missing a vitamin. It's like missing an essential nutrient, and so we're hungry, starving, for something else. And so that's where they can easily push the robotics or any other agenda in which is going to cause more harm to the psyche, because only begets more trauma.
Yep.
How do you feel that how do you feel that this lack of the divine mother and through history is now showing up in the collective?
It's showing up because if you look at basically like all the movies that are being created and backed up, you mentioned this before about how people only want to back up movies that are with horrors in it. And how do I think it's showing up now? It's showing up more so in movies and as entertainment. If it's just people being creative and they're designing movies and creating things, and that's just their spirit, That should tell you something. That's actually worse than people creating it consciously. If people are constantly making movies unconsciously about the threatening of our freedom, the threatening of our ability to be human, the threatening of our ability to choose what we want, and our ability to wake up at our own pace and not be bombarded with things that are literally like they're they're hardening of the soul and hardening of the heart. And it shows up in these kind of movies. For instance, Fahrenheit 451. I've always talked about how I found it interesting why my school chose to show me movies and books like Logan's Run and Fahrenheit 451 and like Lord of the Flies and things like this. This is all predictive programming. They're conditioning us for something. And when I say they, you know, I'm tired of being asked who I think they are. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not that powerful enough to know. But I definitely see a pattern here within the history. And it goes by also shows like A Handmaid's Tale and Black Mirror. And it's like these robotic women and the replacing of women. And you know, the truth is that they will never ever be able to replace the role of a woman. And no matter what they do, the men will always hunger for that energy of the Divine Mother, because when you're with the Divine Mother, actually everything becomes lighter. Everything becomes more playful. Everything becomes more intimate and divine. And you know, I think these men are experiencing bad understandings of women because they're interacting with women who are materialists. They're into materialism, and they don't have their values in alignment. But once you really fully connect and have an experience, you can't go back from that.
Yeah,
really
I mean, I think there's something so true about that. I think that, you know, like a woman, it's her true divine nature to lead a man to his, you know, his spirituality, you know, and not just to be like a seductress. Like if a woman is just leading a man to his lower chakras and that's the extent of it, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. If a woman can lead a man up to his divinity, and I think that's really her purpose, because the divine feminine is an inspiration. She's a mother. She's a lover. She is the enrichment and the embodiment of the sacred feminine. And you can see how much, you know, men are craving this. And I think it's because they're not getting it. And they're not looking in the right direction either, because they're, you know, everyone, we're so trained to see like the desire, what's desirable for a woman is her to be like I don't even know how to describe it. All you have to do is look on Instagram and you'll figure that out. But I mean, you know, it's just based on like, are you hot? Are you not? Is your body what I want or not? But it's not like,
you know, the ancient goddess is depicted as very overweight and plump. And that primordial womb, that the breast, like if you look at the way everything's built, it's all built and aimed at the sexual organ, the sexuality of the woman, and that's distorted in itself.
Yes.
I wanted to really quickly like talk about I've been learning from, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brother Sanchez, but I just started listening to his stuff about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you know, it doesn't take me much to catch on to who's got really real keys to knowledge and who's doing right things with it. And I really enjoyed listening to his stuff. And he talks about the connection between the word, and I already saw this because I was given a revelation before, because I work with Hathor, ancient goddess of toning and music, and she's the goddess depicted with the cow ears. And he reminded me of the same holy cow, and also the great mother Ma'at. And if we look at the words mother, Ma'at, matter, we say in information, ma, inside what for, Ma'at, mother, manifestation, and shun is form of something, right? Perception, everything with the shun at the end. But going back to holy cow and this distortion of the mother, it goes back that far. And even if you look at California, Kali, and she's the mother with her tongue out and anger, because she doesn't care. And Brother Sanchez points this out really well, that and he's an African American man, so it really warms my heart to hear him speak this way, to say that the great mother, does not care what color skin you have. When she comes back with rage and anger, because her children are not being divine, they're not acting in their divineness, they're not doing the proper thing with their power. And so everyone thinks they can hide from this, but she sees everything. But the holy cow goes back to that Hathor and the holy cow and the mother's milk, the breast. And it's like just the way they depict things, and it's like right under our noses, but only still so culturally divided.
It's beautiful. And I love that you brought the goddesses up. And that's really why a lot of the work I do is with the goddesses and bringing her back, bringing her forth. And Kali and Ma'at are two of the 11 goddess activations. Because Ma'at she's a personification of truth, justice, and cosmic order.
Yes.
And, we've gotten so out of divine order because we've sort of let this happen, and it's time to really balance things back out, because in order for us to go down the path that we were meant to go, we need to balance things out. Of course, we have different timelines, and people are choosing their different timelines. If people want to go down the robotic timeline or go, they can be met with, but there will be no divine mother. They're being met with the artificial goddess. And that's really what they're promoting, like with the Sophia, Sophia, that robot.
Oh, but that's so funny that they took Sophia the robot when really it's Sophia, wisdom, Christ consciousness. The Sophia.
Yeah, exactly. She's not a robot.
She's not a robot. They do that with ISIS and the terrorist groups. Like they do that with everything. Like ISIS, they take words that are like very sacred and they switch them around. Like, and so we are confused. So when we go to look it up online, we don't find anything but the trash that they filled it with.
But that's because we've been living in they created inversion. So everything is backwards. Everything is twisted. Even the swastika.
Yep, exactly.
It's so funny. Yes. These people are so unoriginal. Sorry to say, but you guys have no originality. Like literally swastika, it's an Indian, ancient Indian symbol. Why are you taking an ancient Indian symbol and using it for prejudice? Think about it. They just twisted it a little bit. But if you look up the true swastika, it's a very spiritual symbol. It's an ancient symbol, and it's definitely not. The roots come from India. They don't come from the Nazis. They're not original. They don't know how to be original. They're copycats. So they take everything good and invert it and create negativity from it. Isis is a divine goddess, Yep. And so it's like they couldn't come up with their own words or their own symbols. It's so funny how they use all these quote unquote symbolisms, and it's like, get a life. Like, can't you guys make up your own original symbols? Do you have to steal ancient, symbols?
Well, no,
that
it's
have
not that they
nothing
stole.
to do?
I actually did a whole paper on this, and I just read it the other day. I wrote a blog on it, and the reason why they took it is because it actually means victory. And the true meaning of it, it's actually like understanding how the directions work and these sacred energies. And when you use the swastika the proper way, you actually it's so divine. And so they take these things to distort them. It goes that far back. And I'm even thinking that these people, these ancient beings, these people that were distorting things knew the information about the goddess in the primordial womb. And that's why they're making false wounds.
They did. Yeah. So they'll steer you as far from it as possible, but it's nobody's job but your own to decide that this is enough. Like no one can tell you. I think individuals have to make a conscious decision. Like either you're going to be led down a path or you need to choose your path. And it has to be a conscious choice. I think a lot of people are exhausted and tired and they work a lot and they don't want to think for themselves. They actually want to be led. And so it's up to the individual. It really is. But I mean, either way, right now is an incredible opportunity to start using your own free will to start thinking about things and maybe looking at things. It's literally an opportunity because every 26,000 years, we get this opportunity, and you can choose to jump on this opportunity where there is this process that we are evolving, and it's not an artificial evolving. It's a very natural, organic evolving. The more artificial aspects you bring in, the harder it is to make that quantum leap. It's a gateway that is literally opening, and all of that heaviness from all the artificial technology can hold you back. What do you have to say about that?
The artificial intelligence can hold us back from our true potential. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because we're going through a gateway where there's a lot of light codes coming in. There's a lot of incredible. This is an opportunity for people to make a quantum leap into sort of a new Earth, right? And so, if you're bogged down with all of this old stuff, it's going to be very hard to make that.
Yeah, we have to make space. We're like modern day smartphones. In order for us to fully get the full download, we have to release things in our smartphone, right? We have to delete things in our consciousness too. It's the same way. And I definitely think that we can't stop it. I think that evolution is beautiful, especially of technology. It's definitely sped up, but I always know that they're always 10 to 15 years ahead of us, if even more or less. Because, time is only measured by great events, really. So, in my opinion, and I think that it's going to happen regardless. We have to become really aware, because the technology and the roboticism is going to come anyway. So we have to learn who we are in the process of this. Who are we, and what are we going to do with all that free time? Are we going to become more lazy and more oblivious, or are we going to we're going to use this technology to enlighten ourselves while we have a chance? Because, I don't want to be. Movies are making me think that they're aiming in that direction to take away our rights again. And there's always some type of threat somewhere, and at what point do we look at it like it's entertainment or what's going on? They're also condition kids in school by the tests they're giving them and the profiling. So I believe it's a beautiful thing for them to really experiment with us in a way on our abilities and what we can do. But I also believe in this divine cover up, because I have a lot of mystical experiences that I know for sure man has nothing to do with. And my physical body can never even know completely what that is, but they are definitely have been taking sacred things and turning them and distorting them, and the ideas are pretty huge. So
it just comes back to sovereignty, and I think sovereignty is just such an important thing right now. And I mean, that's why, for me personally, I'm not worshiping technology like these other people. I'm really going back to the earth. I'm looking right now, I'm standing outside looking at the mountain, hearing the rustle and the breeze, and I'm looking at nature. I'm looking to nature to find the truth, because nature is truth. We are natural, organic matter beings, and I don't think I want to give that up. It is important to make conscious choices, but of course everyone has a right to make their own choice. In the end, there's really no wrong, because people will make the choices that their soul needs to make. They're going to do what they need to do, but it just makes, you're going to have to go through the cycle a lot longer. That's all I have to say. So it is up to free will. Anyhow, do you have any last thoughts before we end the show?
I mean, every time we just get started, I feel like it's time to go, and I'm like, I just want to say that, when we started the show, we started talking about the man and the child and the mother and the mother wound. And just to clarify, mother wound is in regards to women in general with the masculine. And I think that it does tie back in, keep these thoughts together, that a balance is a mother's job. And when the world is imbalanced, it's good to look at the distortions between the men and women. And sometimes they are purposeful, and just be aware of what you're projecting and what you're feeling when it comes to when you're having disagreements with a woman, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when fights come about, where are the distortions coming in? What's really projection? What am I really feeling? It's
Mm-hmm.
energy, emotion. What's my emotions telling me? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just important to be aware of those things and to allow the mother in your life, to allow this intimacy, this you know, compassion, mercy, understanding, justice come through, because, you know, we really need the men to be more aware. And I know that there's a lot of things out there that is really distracting, and, you know, women are learning how to be more free with their body, and we're putting more stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and we do kind of want attention. And it's beautiful. The body's a beautiful thing. We should never think that it's horrible to see a woman's body, but
Mm-hmm.
just know that not every woman is doing it for the right reasons, and not every woman is
Mm-hmm.
doing it for the wrong reasons. So just to keep
Mm-hmm.
an open
True.
mind, and when you see, you know, pay attention to the spirit behind things,
Yeah,
discernment of
that's so
spirit,
true.
and also know that if you're attracting women who are materialists that way, what are you projecting out?
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
know, there's so many different things. I can go on for a little bit longer for this, because I definitely have a lot to share, um, you know, in regards to the feminine. And yeah, it's all beautiful. Just be aware of your feelings, be aware of the spirit behind things. Um,
And this is a message I'd like to share with men who are listening, is that, you know, I know you've been taught that it's not masculine, it's not manly to have emotions, to have feelings, to be in touch with who you are, that your job is to go out and conquer the world. But I just want to say that, you know, your true power, your true essence lies inside of you, and your ability to feel, to know who you are, to be in touch with your heart. And I know how challenging it's been in this world for you to function as a man who fully embodies his feelings and emotions, because of the way that the world has been coming at you and the way that it's been designed. And I just want to encourage you to step more into your heart. As scary as that may seem, I promise you that everything you ever want is in your heart. And the more that you come back into your heart, the more that you can manifest what you truly want in this world. It goes hand in hand. And so I just want to send out so much love to the masculine right now. I know that just like the feminine, you've been attacked, you've been wounded deeply. And I understand there's a huge wound, and I understand that a lot of you men have been running from that. But I also want to tell you that it takes so much strength and so much courage to stop and just be with what's in your heart. And that when you unlock the key to your heart, everything that you ever wanted is inside of there. It may be a little bit painful at first, but if you work through it, wow, I think you'll understand what true power means. So I just wanted to say that to you, men. We're definitely supporting you, sending you love, and know that we, the feminine, really do want to see your progress. We want to see you happy, fulfilled, and really on your path and your purpose.
and not driving you crazy, you know.
Yeah, we don't want
Not
to
trying to
drive you
drive you
crazy.
crazy. We
We don't
just,
want to drive you crazy. We want to drive you to your divinity.
yes, we want to get to that point, you know, where you guys can see these, you know, there is a lot of men who are seeing it. I've seen a lot of men who are really there too, so that's really great, just to witness them and their sacredness, and to know that it exists. Just, I want everybody to know they have an option, you know, they have an option to be in their divine flow and not abuse it.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So we're both sending you guys out so much love. Thank you so much, Alana, for coming on for another conversation. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
And tune in. We'll be back soon.
Infinite
Much
blessings.
love.
Bye.